Okay, so let's start our class. Hopefully, we have reached some critical mass now. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Eulerian cycle path and trees, directed graphs. Let's see how much we can cover. Okay. So the first thing which I want to do is I want to solve the following puzzle problem. Is that you're given a graph GV and so you have to draw the given graph GV with a single closed line without lifting the pencil from the paper and drawing each edge exactly once. Okay. Uh, okay. So here's my example graph. Let's see. Do you see my graph? Can you draw this graph? Okay. Uh, you know, do you get my question? So you have to draw this graph, start at some vertex, traverse each edge, okay? And you have to come back to the same place, traverse each edge exactly once. You can traverse the vertex as many times as you wish. There's absolutely no issue with that. But you have to traverse each edge exactly once and come back to the same place. Okay? And you can't
Yes,
lift
sir.
the pencil. Okay? Okay, so let's see if okay, so tell me a drawing. Let's say, let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just one second. Just one second. Okay, so can you tell me how will we go about it? What one potential drawing can be?
2 to 1,
Hmm?
1 to 6,
Okay,
6 to 5,
6 to 5.
5 to 4,
Oh, no.
4 to 6,
4 to 6,
6 to 3,
3.
3 to 1,
Okay, 3 to 1.
1 to 4,
Okay, 1 to 4,
4 to 3,
3.
3 to 2.
Correct. Okay, great. So this is precisely what is called. Okay. So how will we mathematically formalize this? So we can formalize this as follows. So we are trying to find a closed walk. It's a find a closed walk, okay, with the following property. So let's write down V0, E1, like V1, E1, V0, E1, say E2, dot, 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 Vm minus 1, Em, V0, okay, containing all the vertices and all the edges exactly once, while vertices can repeat. Okay? Okay? And note the first and the last vertex coincide. Okay? Okay. And what is such a walk is called? Such a walk is called a Eulerian tour or closed walk of G. Okay? Okay? And a graph that has this property are called Eulerian. Okay? Okay, so that's good thing about Eulerian graph. Okay, okay. So one question that is a very simple or a very important question that we would like to ask. Is it possible to determine whether a graph has an Eulerian, what do you call it, tour or circuit, whatever it is called, tour, circuit, okay, without necessarily, okay, having to find one explicitly. Okay, so you get my question. I don't want to, so like I gave you this graph and you basically gave me a tour. That's great answer. But suppose, I mean, just look at the graph. I told you some like vertices, degrees, this and that. From there, can you say something? For example, let's look at this graph. Does this graph have an Eulerian circuit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me.
Sir, vertices.
Okay, I will tell you name 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you want to go?
2 to 1.
Okay, very nice. 2 to 1.
1 to 4.
1 to 4.
4 to 2.
4 to 2.
2 to 3. 3 to 4.
But is that how it is defined? You have to come back to the same place. Right? Look, V0, the vertex you start with, you have to come back. Which you did in this, right? So how did you went? Let's think about it. How did you go? You went to 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6. I can go like this. 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 I can come back to 1, right? I did come back to 1. I started at 1. I come back to 1. Traversing each is exactly once. Let's just try this out here. So you decide where to start. And you have to come back to the same place.
Not possible.
Why? Let's take a definition again and let's try to apply why. What is this there in definition that forces us to
One edge is traced twice.
one edge is,
Traced twice.
but like maybe your tour was bad. Like your tour is not correct. That's okay. That I agree. But otherwise, why?
Sir,
What is the property of this edge E1? It's between who? Which two vertex?
sir,
Tell
one
me.
of the vertex has degree
No,
3.
tell me. Where is the edge E1 between? What are the endpoints of this edge E1? It's V0 and V1. Where is the edge of endpoint A2? It's between V1 and whatever the next vertex is, V2, right? This is how these edges are, okay? What are you saying? Sarvari, what are you saying? 4, 2, okay? You really want to try? 4, 2, I tried. Okay, 4, 2. Then, so you went 4, 2, and then where did you go? 4, 2, 2, 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1. There's something wrong here, no? Yeah, you get to 2, but you never go to 4. Yeah. Great. So there is something. Okay, let's try to understand. As I told you, right? So notice, what is the property of V1 here? This edge E1 and this is E2 is adjacent to whom? This V1, right? The edge V2 is adjacent to 2 guys. So what is it? Is it telling you something? What is the property of the degree of these vertices? What can you say about the degree of these vertices?
2.
Each time a vertex appears, its degree is how much? How much does it contribute to its degree? Twice. Here, notice. Like, look, each edge is exactly once, right? But notice that, so how is it, right? Here it is some edge, and here's a vertex, and then in the closed walk, I come inside, use this vertex and come. So now, what is the degree? Suppose the first time a vertex appears, what is its degree then? Current degree. Tell me. Suppose this is the V. What is its current degree? In the beginning, it was 0. This is the first time an edge enters and then edge leaves. What is its degree now?
2.
Why? Because these two are distinct edges. Agreed? Because each edge appears exactly once in this. Okay. Now, next time what happens? Maybe I enter again by some other edge and I leave this vertex with some other edge. What is its degree now?
4.
4.
So every time this vertex is traversed, what is its degree? Its degree increases by how much?
2. Twice.
Exactly. And notice, this walk consists of every edge, right? So every edge is counted. So at the end of this closed walk, what is the degree of a vertex? Is it odd? Is it even? What is this?
Even.
Right? So what did we learn? So now you notice why we were not able to find a closed walk here, because what is the degree of 2?
3.
What is the degree of, say, 4? It's 3, right? These are odd numbers. But if I need to have a closed walk, what is a necessary condition? That every vertex should have an even degree. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what is called necessary condition. Okay. And it happens that any graph that satisfies this, okay, has this property. So actually what we can prove a theorem. Okay. What theorem we can prove? A graph GVE is Eulerian if and only if, okay, it is connected and each vertex has what degree? Has even degree. Okay. So look, it is necessary that every vertex should have even. But in fact, what is also true, like more is true, is that in fact, if every vertex has an even degree, then actually we can find a closed walk of this nature. We can find an Eulerian tour, right? So I cannot prove this for you, but this is something which you should know. That again, you notice last lecture we talked about this bipartite graph, this Hall's theorem. What did we say? For every subset, number of neighbors should be large. It is necessary. But what happens? This is also sufficient. Similarly here, having every vertex having an even degree is necessary, right? But it is also sufficient. Okay, is that fine? Okay. But notice that we came back to the word called connected. Okay. So what is connected? Okay. A graph G is called connected if there is a path between every pair of vertices. Okay, a graph G is called connected if there's a path between every pair of vertices. Is this graph connected?
No.
Why?
Odd degree at 3.
Huh? That's my definition. Why is this graph not connected? Can you go
Because-
from 3 to 5?
No, sir.
Exactly. So from 3 to 4, there's an edge, but 4 to 5, there is no edge. So this graph is not connected. Okay. But what about now? Is this graph connected?
Yes.
Because I can go from any vertex to any vertex. Do you agree to that? By a path. Can you tell me a path between 2 and 6?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it, right? So, and if you are looking for a path, this. Okay. So if I ask you a very simple graph, okay. So now let's go back to our next pausing and pondering. So we learned what is connected. Okay. Let G be a graph. Okay. So what is this property first? It is connected. Okay. It is connected. Okay. That's one thing. Okay. And secondly, I want to select GB graph. It is connected. Okay. And for each edge E, G minus E is not connected. Do you understand the meaning of this? Do you understand the meaning of this line? Okay. The moment I delete an edge, okay, there is a pair of vertex which cannot reach to each other. You cannot find a path between two vertices. And this is true about each edge. Okay. So first of all, this is connected. The moment I delete an edge, okay, the graph doesn't remain connected. Okay. So I have a question for you. Is this graph connected? Hello? Is this
Yes,
graph
sir.
connected? Okay, very nice. But does it satisfy the second property? For each edge, this should be true. The G minus E is not connected. Is this statement true? Is it true that if I delete, like for every edge, if I delete that edge, then this graph is no more connected? It means there is a path. So let's try one by one. Okay. What happens if we try to delete 4, 5? Is this graph connected?
Yes.
I deleted the,
No, sir.
Why? Because there is no path from 4 to 5. Agree? Okay. So fine, let's put back this edge. Let's try to delete this edge 3, 4. Is this graph connected? Now?
No.
It's not connected?
Yes, sir. Sir, it is.
It is, right? Aha. So this graph does not satisfy the property that it is connected. For each edge E, G minus E is not connected. This does not satisfy this property. Do you agree? Okay. So, okay, let's see. What about this graph? Is this graph connected?
Yes, sir.
Now try to delete any edge. You will see that at least there is two vertex which is not connected. Like you cannot find between two vertex. Is it true about each edge? If I delete edge 6, 3, 6 is not connected to 3 or to any. If I delete edge 3, 4, 4 is not connected. Similarly, 1, 2, and 2, 5. And the moment I delete edge 2, 3, no vertex 1, 2, 5 can reach 3, 4, 6. Do you agree? Yes, very good. Okay. So this graph is what is called tree. Okay. So suppose this is my definition of tree. Okay. What is my definition of tree? Okay. So what is the definition of tree? This is my definition of tree. First, it is connected. And secondly, for each edge, okay, so T, let's call it V comma E, is connected. For each edge E in E, T minus E is not connected. Okay. Is that fine? This is my definition. Can I say something then more? First, I want to say, this is my statement. Properties. Let's see some properties. Okay. T does not have a cycle. Is this statement true?
Yes, sir.
Because why? Notice, if I have a graph and it has a cycle, what is the meaning of cycle? Look at this. If you look at a cycle, it means that there is actually two paths between every vertex, right? So if you delete any edge, you can still go around this cycle and go and find another path to every vertex. Do you understand my point? Do you understand? If you have a cycle, then what is the meaning of cycle? Like if you notice, like very natural, right? If you have a cycle, there are two paths between any two vertex, right? Two parts, edge disjoint paths, right? You can go either by this way or you can either go by this way to this, right? So even if you destroy, by deleting one edge, if you destroy one path, the other path will still survive. Am I right? Because these are edge disjoint path. In fact, they are vertex disjoint path on a cycle. Do you understand my point? Right? So what is this? T does not have a cycle. And basically, a lot of people use this as a definition. So what is a tree for people? Tree is connected a cyclic graph. Okay. Another property. Okay. Another property. Every tree has a vertex of degree 1. Is this correct? Do you think this is correct?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Leaf node.
I mean, what is leaf node? I mean, that's memory. I have defined you. Tree is a connected acyclic graph. Or what is the property of tree? Tree is it's connected, and if I delete any edge, the graph becomes disconnected. That's all that I've said to you. So what is leaf node? Why every tree has a vertex of degree 1? Okay. So here's the intuitive region. These are not very mathematically sound region, but let's go with an intuitive region. Suppose not. What is the meaning of this? Suppose not. Suppose not. It implies every vertex has degree at least 2. Okay, great. Now let's start at any vertex U. Okay, and every time just try to traverse a new vertex W, Z, right? You go on, go on, go on, go on. Eventually, what will happen if every vertex has degree 2, right? What will happen? Like, so every time you try to use a new vertex, new neighbor. So I start at U, okay? And then I said, okay, fine. Let me find a new neighbor of W. Okay, it exists, right? Fine, great. Next time, okay? So suppose I start at U1. U2 is just new neighbor. I try to find a new neighbor of U2, okay? I get U3, okay? Now I try to find a new neighbor of U3, okay? Now, either what happens? Why am I not able to find a new neighbor of U3? If I find a new neighbor of U3, which is already not here, okay, then I write it. Okay, fine. At some point of time, okay, I go here, say suppose U10, and I ask, do I have a new neighbor to go ahead, which is not on this path? If I find one, I go ahead. But at some point of time, I'm not able to go. Okay, then what happens? What is the meaning of that? It means all the neighbors of U10 are already present on this path. If they're already present on this path, it means there's an edge to this. Then what is this? This is a cycle, right? And we will encounter this because every vertex has degree at least 2. So what happens? So this is how you first. So what you can show, this is just an intuitive argument for you. You can show the following is that if every vertex has degree at least 2, then G has a cycle. Okay. But what did we started with? That tree is a connected acyclic graph. Okay. Okay. And because of this, you will imply that tree has a vertex of degree at most 1. So in fact, because it's a connected, there is every vertex is degree greater than equal to 1. So this is degree equal to, oh my God, equal to 1. Okay. So this is how you go about proving that Y tree has a degree 1 vertex. And these are probabilities. Yes, tell me. Someone was saying something. Hello? Please go ahead, tell me. Okay, fine. Okay. So do you at least understand this intuitive idea about these things? If you understand, put +1. Otherwise, let me know. So all I'm trying to inculcate in you that in graph theory, there is no fact. Okay, there are some basic statements, and from there we can derive every statement. Unfortunately, I don't have more than 4 lectures, so I cannot give you even 1 or 2 concrete proofs because it will take my 20 to 30 minutes, right? But I'm still trying to give you a logical reasoning. Okay, now next, what do people prove? Every tree has how many edges? n-1 edges. And how do you prove? How do you prove? Okay, you prove as follows. Okay, you prove using induction. Using induction on number of vertices. And how do I prove? I said, okay, fine. Look at, let's say n equal to 1. Right? This is single vertex. So of course, n equal to 1, number of edges is equal to n-1, 1 - 1 equal to 0. Okay. Now, how do you do induction? Induction never means, oh, now start with an n vertex tree and let's extend to n+1. That's a wrong way of applying induction. Okay. So what you start with, you say, okay, let T be a tree on n+1 vertices. I have just shown a property that every tree has a vertex of degree 1. Okay. Every tree has a vertex of degree 1. Okay, fine. So this is a tree and there's a vertex of degree 1. Okay, this is the vertex of degree 1. So what will I say? Suppose this is a V. We'll say Let us consider T minus V and apply induction on T minus V. Okay, guys. Now you please tell me to apply induction. Can I apply induction on T minus V without proving anything? Can I apply induction now? Or do I need to prove something before I have to apply induction on T minus V? Induction is on similar kind of objects, right? Do you at least understand my question? Like, what is my worry, right? So what I want to say by induction, hey, I say, hey, T minus V has n number of vertices. By induction hypothesis, it has n minus 1 edges. This is what I would like to say, right? Okay. So what I want to say, okay, cardinality of T minus V is n. By induction hypothesis, okay, T minus V has n minus 1 edges. And because we deleted a vertex V of degree 1, this implies T has n minus 1 plus 1 equal to n edges. Done. Is this correct? Is this correct? Do you think this is correct, what I did? If you think it's correct, put plus 1. If you don't think it's correct, just put minus 1. Have anyone of you have seen induction at all?
So that plus 1, K plus 1, that wala?
But K and K plus 1, like, no, induction. Have you seen this proof?
No, sir.
Yes.
So are you talking about mathematical induction?
Yes, I'm talking about mathematical induction. This is mathematical induction, no? Is this
Yes,
not
sir.
a mathematical induction?
So then for n number of vertices, then we will count for n, and then for n plus 1, and
Yeah.
then it goes on.
Correct. Very nice. But do you understand what I did now? I said, okay, I want to prove that every tree on n vertices has n minus 1 edges. I tried to induction hypothesis. This n equal to 1 was my base case, right? Once I was done with the base case, I started with a tree on n plus 1 vertices. I started with a tree on n plus 1 vertices. I did not say, okay, now let's take a tree on n vertices and let's try to extend it in. That's a wrong way of applying induction. Okay. We are proving a statement about every tree on n plus 1 vertices. So we have to start with a tree on n plus vertices. Okay. I already have proved a property that every tree has a vertex of degree 1, say V. So now this is my whole tree T, and this is my vertex V. Okay. I delete. Look, how many edges are incident to V? Exactly equal to 1. Because it's a vertex of degree 1. So I delete this vertex. And I want to say, look at T minus V. Okay. And I would like to apply induction on T minus V. Okay. But to apply induction on T minus V, of course, it has a less number of vertices. It has n vertices. So of course, we have already proved for every tree on n vertices has n minus 1 edges. This I have already proved by induction hypothesis. So definitely T has at most n edges. But am I applying induction correctly? That's my question. Is this statement that, oh, T minus V, let's apply induction on T minus V, and we are done. Is that statement correct? What am I assuming? What is my induction hypothesis? Every tree has some property, right? So before I apply induction on any object, I have to show to me that what I proved. I only thing which I proved that every tree on n vertex has some property. Now, I started with T minus V. T minus V. And I say, one thing is clear, Definitely it has n vertices. But my statement about induction hypothesis, every tree on n vertices has n minus 1. Who has told me that T minus V is a tree, right? So before I apply induction, I need to prove that T minus V is connected and acyclic, okay? Then it is a tree and it is on less vertices, and hence by induction hypothesis, it has n minus 1 edges, and then we are done, okay? So do you understand the fine point? Look, I'm not expecting you to give me a proof or something, but I want you to understand how A, induction is applied, B, the fine points of applying proofs. Okay? Is the idea clear? To some people? That when I say by induction hypothesis something happens, I need to show to you that the object on which I'm applying induction satisfies the property of that, right? So when I say I'm going to, by induction, going to prove that every tree has n minus 1 edges, and then when I say, okay, let me delete a vertex, look at a smaller object, it's a tree. If I want to say that, hey, by induction hypothesis, it has n minus 1 edges, then I have to first prove that it is a tree, because that is what is the assertion of my induction hypothesis is, right? So I first need to prove that, and then I'm done. Okay? I hope this brings some curiosity to know how proofs are applied, why proofs are important in graph theory. Otherwise, without proofs in graph theory is like, tell me what is the difference between you studying in your high school and remembering every fact versus you remembering the same set of things in your college. Is there any difference then? No. The only difference between my high school and this, that now I'm provided with reasoning, I'm provided with analytical thinking, right? So this is why graph theory is used in discrete maths to teach you how to prove lots of things via induction. Like that is one of the purposes of having this object, also as well as some sort of what is that called? Concreteness. Okay. So I will leave you with this set of thoughts on trees, and I'll move to something different. Okay. So basically, here's a characterization which people use. Okay. So following are equivalent. It is acyclic and connected. Secondly, it has n minus 1 edges. Between every pair of vertices, there's a unique path. Okay, so these are equivalent characterization of trees. Okay, so if it was a bit too much, we can go back and do something more lighter now. Okay, so now let me introduce I don't know why we are doing so much things, but that's your routine. Okay, so tell me, do you think you know how many of you know your director of your institute or the principal or whoever is head? How many of you know your director? If you know your director, can you put +1? You don't know your director, Mandar? Okay. Okay. How many of you know Prime Minister of India? If you know Prime Minister of India, put +1. Wow. Okay. Great. Do you think Prime Minister knows you? If you think the Prime Minister knows you, put +1. If you don't think, put -1. Wow. Okay. Great. That's your directed graph. Okay. That is precisely what why directed graphs are. That some associations are not symmetric. Okay. Some associations are not symmetric. Okay. Some associations are not symmetric. So how do I represent that kind of association? So we have graph A, B, C, D. Okay. Now, if, for example, if A knows B, I put an arrow, right? And if suppose B also knows A, then I put. So basically, now I provide a direction. Okay. So once I have provide a direction, okay, these are called directed graph. Okay. Okay. So remember, so what is the main objective of directed graph? To represent asymmetric object, right? Like, for example, in general, the friendship graphs are like where we know both of each other. So that is basically represented by an undirected graph. But in some situation, for example, in any system, there is some sort of hierarchical system. If you notice, like boss knows the less people below, people know below. So these are basically a directed association. These are not undirected association. Okay. So in some of these situations, we use directed graph. And as in the undirected graph, the set of notions of paths, cycles are very similar like an undirected graph, but now with respect to directed edge. So if I ask you, is there a path from B to, is there a path from B to A in this graph? Is there a path from B to A?
No.
Right? Because as a direction, there is no path. I can't reach from B to A because I can go to B to C, but then I can't reach because that's okay. Okay. So do you understand that now direction starts to play? So now, is this a directed cycle? Do you think this should be called directed cycle, this triangle? In the undirected sense, if I forget this, this is a cycle. I start at A, I can, but do you think this is a directed cycle? What is the meaning of cycle? I start
Yes,
at
sir.
some place. Okay. Why this is a directed cycle? I go from A to B,
A to C.
B to C, and then
A to C, I can go.
not A to C. You have to come back from C to A.
Sorry.
Right? So when you say directed cycle, it is again the same vertex, blah, blah. Each vertex is used exactly once, and the first and the last vertex is same, and the consecutive vertices should have directed edge. Okay. So for example, this is my directed cycle. Do you think this is a directed cycle? Because now it's a directed cycle, right? I can go from A to B, B to C, C to A. I can go from B to C, C to A, A to B. I can go from C to A to B, B to C. So the moment I have a direction, I have a notion of directed cycles, directed paths, similarly as in the undirected graph. But now we need to know, okay. So one more object which is used quite a lot is something called directed acyclic graph. Okay. And what is a directed acyclic graph? A graph that does not have directed cycle. Okay. So now you tell me, is this a directed acyclic graph? Is this a directed acyclic graph? Yes, no. Is this a directed acyclic graph? Do you see any directed cycle here? No. Right? Do you see any directed cycle here? If you don't see a directed cycle, then what is this? These are called DAGs. Okay, they are called DAGs, and they are very important object in. Imagine yourself. So the very nice characterization of DAGs is that there exists an ordering of vertices. Okay, a DAG always has an ordering of vertices, and it has some beautiful properties. What is the property of this ordering? That every arc is from left to right. So for example, look at A, B, C. How is my arc? Notice A to B is an arc. B to C is an arc. Yes. And there is an arc from A to C. Right. So every arc is from left to right. Okay. So there is an ordering of such vertices. Okay. When it is a diagonal. And these are called basically topological ordering. And why it is useful? Imagine yourself that if you're trying to suppose you have a courses, sometimes you need to do some courses before you can take some other courses. So if you look at these courses, like look at your course, okay? This is like your courses in your college, okay? This is like courses in your college, okay? And now I'm saying, look, let's try to draw the dependency relation. I say, look, if you want to do this, the prerequisite for this is this, 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 so on and so forth. What kind of graph this should be? You tell me, what kind of graph this should be? Should it have a directed cycle? Do you think this dependency, course dependency graph right? It's a directed graph, right? Because I'm asking for this course, this is prerequisite. This is so if these courses are prerequisite for this, then I draw an edge from this course to that course, like this. Now I'm asking, can or rather should this graph have a directed cycle? Do you think this graph should have a directed cycle? Why? So give me an example, guys. Look, I'm trying to awaken your. Imagine that if I had a directed cycle A, B, C, and D. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? It tells me that, look, if you want to do a course for B, you should have done a course A first. Okay. To do a course C, you should have done a course in B first. So basically there's a cyclic dependency on this. Like then you don't know. So that is why whenever you so ideally, okay, this graph should not have directed cycle. Okay. Now, if it does not have a directed cycle, then what happens? That you can have courses put down like an ordering and you say, hey, if as a student, you first take this course, then you take this course, then you take this course, then you take this course. If you follow your course structure in this way, then by the time you reach here, you know that every arc is from left to right. So all the courses which you needed to do, you have done before. So this is where the directed acyclic graphs are very important. Also, if you look at lots of like your computer software and all, right? Like, so hardware, they depend on each other. So that is all that network is also that, so that before you need to use this, you should have like used this before, so on and so forth. So this kind of dependency graph is everywhere. So before I end, I just want to end with my last concept for the directed graph. So what is my last concept for the directed graph is what is called strongly connected. Okay. So what is the meaning of strongly connected? So we defined a graph, undirected graph being connected. If between every pair of vertex, there is a path. So what is strongly connected? A directed graph D is strongly connected if there is a path, if there is a directed path between every pair of vertices. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Is this a strongly connected graph? Anybody? Do you think this is a strongly connected graph? Ketan, Abhijit, Gayatri, Aryan, anybody? Do you think this, what is the definition? There is a directed path between every pair of vertices.
Yes.
Okay. Show me a path from B to A. Is there a path from B to A?
No, sir.
Correct. So this is not strongly connected. Okay. Okay. But if I draw A, B, and now, is this a strongly connected? You can go from every vertex to every vertex. So this is strongly connected. Okay. So this is, so the notion of, so this graph ABC as an undirected graph, they're connected, but as a directed graph, they're not strongly connected because there is no direct path. There is no path between every pair of vertex. Okay. So that's all that I had time for in this diagraph. Next Friday lecture, I will teach you some algorithms and how to represent graphs. Okay. So that's all that I had to say for today. So thank you. I will put up the video as well as the notes. I will send it across. Okay. Okay. So thank you. So I'm done for the day until you have some questions.